Hey guys, today I am going to talk about some questions that I have regarding the microbiome and the carnivore diet. So if you've not been to my channel before, my name is Sue and I've been on the carnivore diet now for 18 months. I've had lots of gut issues and IBS diarrhea for decades, and I've recently just been learning about SIBO and the microbiome. And so that's been on my mind lots, and I tend to be a bit of an overthinker, and so I have some questions that I don't think anybody can really answer at this point. But let's go. All right. So if you've been watching my recent videos, you'll know that I've been looking into the whole subject of SIBO, and which is small intestinal bacterial overgrowth. You will know that I've been reading Dr. William Davis's Super Gut book. I will link to that book below. It's a good read. And I'm getting some good results using his information and a little bit of other information that I've gleaned from elsewhere. Finally, so this whole topic around the microbiome has really got me questioning some stuff. And, you know, I've, as I said, I tend to be a bit of an overthinker, and I tend to ask the hard questions sometimes that people might not want to really consider. But that's just where I'm at. And I think these questions actually need to be asked. So I'm not a doctor, and so I'm not any kind of an expert or anything. I do body work. I mean, I'm not a doctor or a scientist or a health expert, but I just have questions. Now, I've heard Dr. Chafee say a couple of times, I love Dr. Chafee. If I was going to have a doctor, I'd want it to be Dr. Chafee because he's pretty awesome. But I've heard him say a couple of times, you know, just eat meat and your microbiome will fix itself. But I really question that. Will it? Will it? You know, because my question is, what if we are missing some bacteria that we're supposed to have, that we need to have for good health, or to have good health on a all meat diet? You know, our individual starting places are very different, and that's something I realized early on in this piece with carnivore. Is there's a lot of people who go into carnivore and absolutely thrive right from the beginning, and they assume that everybody else is going to be like that, and we're not, very obviously, because you've got people like me who are 18 months in and still have been struggling up until just very recently with chronic diarrhea, even though I was getting other health benefits, you know, and people who's like me, whose weight loss is really slow. And then you've got people who are actually on carnivore for a while and then start gaining weight for, you know, maybe no apparent reason. So there's a lot of different variables in amongst all of us humans that are eating this way. And I completely believe that the meat-based diet is the proper human diet, but my questions are around whether we need a little bit of plant material or not, whether some of us need that, because, you know, our bodies are not the way that our ancestors were. We're living in a really different world, and we're really way more fucked up. Some of us are way more fucked up than others, depending on our start in life, you know, the microbiome that we inherited from our mother, depending on how many drugs and antibiotics we've been on, our genetics, our diet, and how that's affected us pre-carnivore, basically. So Dr. Davis is a cardiologist who realised that the microbiome was playing a part in cardiovascular disease, and I think my feeling is that going forward is the microbiome is going to be a real frontier of health as more and more is learned about it, because it plays a part in everything really to do with our health, from my understanding. Now, Dr. Davis is studying the microbiome. That's where his focus lies now, and so he's got a fair bit of knowledge there and a fair bit of knowledge about different bacteria and what they do. And he talks about, you know, using the different bacteria to resolve specific health issues and to get specific benefits that you might want to get. So, for example, L. reuteri is not only good for managing conditions like SIBO, because it's it creates these bacteriocins, which are natural antibiotics that help to lower the numbers of the bad bacteria. But it also has benefits, like it causes your body to create more oxytocin, which makes you happier, and it causes you to have more empathy and with other people, and to be able to get on better with other people. It helps you to sleep better, and it helps you with your libido, and it helps your body to put on muscle, and all of these different things. It helps with your skin, it helps to get rid of wrinkles and things. So there's all of these benefits with these bacterias, but this L. reuteri, a lot of people don't even have it anymore, according to Dr. Davis, because antibiotics have killed it off. So, so if you're missing some of these bacteria, apparently the microbiome in the hunter-gatherers, like the Hadza, are way more diverse than ours, way more, because they're living a more traditional life and haven't been exposed to all the things that we've been exposed to for generations, So there's a big difference in the way that our ancestors were and the way that we are, and what we need in our diet to be able to function in a healthy way, and for our microbiome to be as healthy as it can be. And so my questions are around the prebiotic fibers, because there's, people talk about plant foods and stuff, and fiber, and our fiber's not necessary, but there's the cellulose fiber, which is kind of the bulking agent, and I don't think that that's necessary at all. But there's also the prebiotic fibers, which is what a lot of these bacteria actually feed on. And so if you're eating only animal products and no fibers at all, is that over time going to cause problems and die off in some species of your microbiome or not? For example, one of the examples that I've pulled from his book is there's a bacteria called Akkermansia, and Akkermansia means mucus eater, I think, something like that. Now, our small intestine is supposed to be lined with mucus, and that's what helps to protect it, and it's supposed to be nice and thick, and that way things pass through without damaging the actual walls of the small intestine. When that mucus is degraded, that's one of the things that leads to leaky gut and proteins from foods and things being able to get into your bloodstream, and then cause autoimmune diseases and all that sort of stuff. Now, Akkermansia eats prebiotic fibers, but if it's not getting prebiotic fibers, then it starts eating the mucus in the small intestine. Now, my question there is, okay, so if someone's on just an animal-based diet with no prebiotic fibers going into their body, is that over time going to cause problems in their small intestine? I guess it depends on the mixture of microbiome in their body and how many Akkermansia are there versus other species, and this is the stuff that I'm kind of thinking about, and I thought I'd put this out there because I think these are questions and things that need to be kind of considered. I don't think there's anyone who can really answer these questions right now, because I don't think enough is known. But, I think about the carnivores like myself, people who've been on a carnivore diet who are still having problems, with gut health or with other health issues, whether they be autoimmune issues or whatever, and why someone like myself, 18 months in, is still having problems where other people seem to have resolved all their problems, within a few months of starting on this way of eating. Those people who have been living a more traditional lifestyle as hunter-gatherers, their microbiome is way more diverse than ours. And my thoughts around this, I understand there's a lot of people who want to just eat animal foods because they feel that's where they get the best health benefit and the most food freedom, because the food freedom is a big part of it. But when we look at most hunter-gatherer tribes, that's what they were doing, was hunting and gathering. They were eating a predominantly meat-based diet, but some plant foods. So they would eat some plant foods depending on what was around and what was in season and how good the hunting was. They would eat roots and tubers and berries and whatever was kind of around that. Whether that was subsistence food or not, they were still consuming that. Now I've seen people talking about how, in the Ice Age and, the Inuit people living, in the snow, there was no plants for them to eat. But I did a little bit of looking into that just recently, and those people, so even the Inuit, because you always think of the Inuit just hunting, whales and seals and all that sort of thing, but that wasn't just whales and seals. They hunted, I think they have I don't know whether it was elk or caribou, like some big mammals and so these animals are eating plant material, and the Inuit people would eat the content of their stomach. So that's a delicacy, and so they're eating the plant material with all the that's partially fermented and partially digested from the animal's stomach. And even carnivorous animals, a lot of those will eat the content of the stomach of their prey. But yeah, when because I wondered whether humans did that, and they did. So these people who lived in these icy regions and through the Ice Age, when they were hunting these big animals who were eating plants, they were eating the content of those animals' stomachs, and so they were still getting some plant materials into their diets. I also wonder about carnivores who can't moderate if they have any carbohydrates. So I've heard people and seen people talking about how they can't even have raw milk because it sets them off on a carbohydrate binge. Now, the bacteria in our gut is mostly what drives our desires for those foods often, and creates those behaviors. We are being more controlled by the bacteria inside of us than most of us actually want to realize, I think. And so my question there is the carnivore diet just suppressing their symptoms and some of these bacteria, because the bacteria, they're pretty bloody, they're pretty clever and able to survive all sorts of things, as we know. And so if someone stops eating carbohydrates, can some of these bacteria just hide out and, in biofilms or something, waiting for the first bit of carbohydrate to come in and then start multiplying and start driving those addictions to those foods again? Or is perhaps the microbiome balance, the numbers that are there, maybe they're missing certain species of bacteria that allow the ones that drive those carbohydrate cravings to take over really quickly again if they do have some carbohydrate. It's like, so is the carnivore diet for those people, if that's the case, is it just suppressing their symptoms but not fixing the problem, is what I'm asking, if you get what I mean. So like an example that comes to mind, and one of this might help her if she sees it, is Jen from the channel Pleased to Meet You. So Jen she was really covered in really bad psoriasis. She's been on the carnivore diet for about the same amount of time as me, I think a little bit longer, and she was starting to gain weight. And so she, her psoriasis, she's off all her medications and everything, but psoriasis wasn't completely gone. She still had little bits here and there, which indicates that there's still something going on. And then she decided to start adding some carbohydrate back into her diet to see if that helped, because she was having problems sleeping and that, and thought it might have been to do with cortisol levels and everything. So she started eating some carbohydrate again, and next thing she was off on a big binge eating everything and gained a whole lot of weight. So my question is does she have SIBO or something similar that's just been suppressed by the carnivore diet, but because it hasn't been resolved, she's still having just that little bit of psoriasis that's still there, you know, the weight's not shifting, and then as soon as she starts eating some carbohydrates, she's boom away again into eating all sorts of shit that her brain knows she shouldn't be eating, but these things are driving her to eat. So yeah, because that's something that I've heard a lot of people talk about. And so yeah, there's others who are in the same boat. They can't have anything with carbohydrate, and otherwise it sets them off on a binge. You know, I mean, even Dr. Berry talks about that. So it's interesting. And so yeah, my question is there a issue with the microbiome that's still there, just kind of festering? And my question is over time, is that still going to drive some health issues potentially down the track? You know, I don't know whether it would be enough to or not, if what I'm thinking is the case. So I'm just having a look at my notes. So yeah, so like with the weight loss thing, I mean, like my weight loss has been really slow, and you've got people like Jen who she lost a bit, stayed the same, and then started gaining again. Is that to do with the gut flora? So, for example, L-gaceri helps with weight loss, and so if we are missing that or missing another bacteria like that, is that why our weight loss is really slow and somebody else's is really fast on carnivore? You know, if they've got those bacteria that they need to be able to drop the weight really quickly, and we don't, is that why? And you know, is it because like we're our microbiome's going maybe out of whack in a different way because of, you know, without the carbs? I don't know. It's so many questions, and questions with no definitive answer. As I said, I don't know that anyone can really answer these questions, but they are questions that I think are worth pondering, and especially if you're still having problems on carnivore diet, you know, with your digestive system or whatever. I mean, I would suggest anyone who's having ongoing issues with digestion, IBS, diarrhea on carnivore, that they have a look into SIBO, that they get a copy of Dr. Davis's book and try these SIBO yogurts and try what he's suggesting, because for me, it definitely seems to be making a difference. And so at this point, I mean, I'm using Prebiotic Fibers. I'm eating the berries, which I had been anyway. See, all the whole way along, the berries seemed to help me, and I didn't know why. I didn't know whether it was the fiber in them or what it was, but they just having some blueberries each day seemed to make a difference. And so I don't know whether it was the prebiotic fibers in the blueberries, or I don't know, or what it was. So I'm eating berries, and I'm eating some garlic, and I'm eating some onion and sauerkraut as well. So I'm getting a bit of prebiotic fiber in there to help the bacteria that I'm taking in with the SIBO yogurt to grow and multiply. That's the idea behind it. So yeah, so these are just kind of questions that I have, and I think that they're, as I said, that they're worth pondering, considering. I'd be interested in everyone's opinions and thoughts. If anyone has more knowledge and more information on all this stuff that can respond or reply or to this, that would be helpful, I'm sure, for me and for others out there who might be wondering all of this, because I think, you know, like the as I've said before, the anality of some people with the carnivore diet, that it has to be just animal products for everyone who says that they're carnivore, might not be the best way to go. And because you get people who decide to try the carnivore diet, and they might do it for a few months, then they go, oh, this isn't for me because it's not working, where it could be just to do with this. And if this could be, if their gut flora could be corrected and they understood how to fix that, then they could be on a meat-based diet and getting the benefits from that with just maybe a little bit of plant material, either temporarily or permanently, to help. So yeah, that's my thoughts. And yeah, so if you like this video, please subscribe and hit the like button. And if you've got any comments or questions, fire away below. I thank you very much for watching, and I will talk to you again another day. I'll be talking more about this, I'm sure. Thank you. Bye-bye.